Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be another murder review because, as I said, I saw two movies today. Now, this movie, I really didn't have any expectations for. The first movie I reviewed was Into the Woods. Please watch my review. I think you guys will really enjoy it. But this movie that I'm going to be reviewing, I really didn't have any expectations for because I didn't really know the central plot of it. All I knew is that it was Tim Burton and that he was going, in a very different direction. I didn't really know anything about it. And that movie is Big Eyes. I didn't really know anything about this movie, really. I didn't really know the central plot of it. All I knew is that it had Amy Adams and Christoph Waltz. It doesn't have it was directed by Tim Burton, but it's not your typical Tim Burton movie. So I checked out the movie. I watched the trailer. The trailer looked really, really good. And I'm like, now I really want to see this movie. So I watched the movie, and overall, what did I think of this movie? Big Eyes is a very, very good movie that is a very different approach for Tim Burton that I definitely really enjoy. It's a very daring approach for Tim Burton. But it does have a few problems that I do want to talk about. Now, I did overall really enjoy the movie, though. Now, the plot of Big Eyes, I really want to talk about it. Basically, we focus on this artist, Margaret Keane. She has just recently gotten a divorce from her from her ex-husband. She's now separated from him and everything with her daughter, her daughter Jane, and basically, now that she is, on her own, she is now working as an artist. She's trying to be an artist. She's trying to find a good career. But this was back in a time when women weren't as respected and everything. So, she's trying to find a good career and everything. She ends up working in, bedroom for, furniture art and everything. But then she's approached by Christoph Waltz's character, Walter Keane. And he tells her, he claimed, basically, he says, oh, you're a great artist and everything. And she's very enchanted by him. She ends up marrying him and everything. And she becomes very successful in the 1950s. However, one day, Walter ends up in a fight with someone. And he ends up saying that the paintings that Margaret is painting are his. He claims to be the artist. And eventually, she's like, don't do it again. But eventually he becomes a national celebrity. And he ultimately starts taking all the credit for every single painting that she does. And that's basically, and it's kind of how they deal with this, what kind of happened to them. And that's basically the plot of Big Eyes. Now, I think that is a fantastic plot. It's a very compelling story. And I really love the plot of this movie. I think the plot of this movie is very, very good. And it's a very interesting story. I didn't really know anything about Margaret Keane and Walter Keane. I didn't know pretty much anything about them. So I really like that I didn't know anything about them. It's better not to know about someone than to know about them, because it's more surprising in this movie. Now, the acting in this movie. Let's talk about the acting. The acting in this movie is really, really good overall. Amy Adams as Margaret Keane was fantastic. I thought she was amazing in this role. She really got into this character perfectly. One of the things I love that she did is that there was a point where I'm like, I don't recognize her. I didn't. I really did not recognize... there were parts in this movie where I really did not recognize Amy Adams, and that's very good that I did not recognize her. I really liked her character. I thought she did a very good job in this movie. And, you can definitely tell that she is very upset when he starts to take the credit. She doesn't want him to take the credit for her painting. She wants to have that credit. But she knows that, it's a good, she thinks it's a good thing and everything. She's basically being played by him the entire movie. I think she portrayed that very, very well. Really gets very bad for her, definitely. I thought, the way she reacted to what ends up happening, I thought she was very, very good. And I thought Amy Adams did a very good job. And honestly, I really do feel she should be nominated for an Oscar. Do I think she should win? No, but I think she definitely did a very good job and gave one of the best performances of the year. Now let's talk about Christoph Waltz as Walter Keane. He, for the most part, was very, very good, but he actually is where some of my complaints lie. My problem with Christoph Waltz in this movie is that sometimes sometimes this character, it was kind of, this is based on a true story, Walter Keane was a real person, and a lot of things, and it wasn't so much what was going on, it was how Christoph Waltz portrayed it. The ways Christoph Waltz portrayed some of the scenes in this movie kind of seemed too unrealistic. It did not seem real to me. It seemed like he was overdoing and overacting. There were scenes in this movie, honestly, it felt like he was a cartoon. It really did. There's a scene in this movie where he goes absolutely batshit crazy. I felt I was watching The Shining. That's how I think over the top he went. I think he went a little bit too over the top. Now, I don't know if, and I completely agree with Chris Stuckman, because I know Chris Stuckman recently reviewed this movie, and I completely agree with what he said. he basically said that I agree with him. I don't know if Walter Keane was like this in real life, because Margaret Keane is a real person, and Amy Adams did interact with her. As we see at the end of this movie, they show Margaret Keane, they show the real Margaret Keane and Amy Adams interacting. So I don't know if Margaret Keane told them to portray Walter Keane as this crazy person, but I think at times Christoph Waltz was kind of overdoing it. And I thought for the most part he was good, but there was a lot of times when he was very much overdoing it, and it kind of brought the movie down for me a little bit. There's this courtroom scene where it gets very, very funny, and I thought he was just overdoing it a little too much and just hamming it up a little bit more. Because Amy Adams definitely felt a lot more real to me, but when we got to Walter Keane, there was a lot of things that just did not seem real. I thought he still did a very good job, though. Danny Huston as Dick Nolan, I thought he was very good. He's actually the central narrator of this movie, and I thought he was definitely a very good character. I definitely really enjoyed his acting in the movie. Nothing amazing, but I definitely really enjoyed him. John Polito was good. Kristen Ritter, I really liked her character. She's actually Margaret's best friend, who's kind of giving her advice. She's kind of telling her, you can't do this for him. You can't keep lying. You can't keep you can't keep working for Walter Keane. You have no idea what else he's done. He's worked with all these other people and everything, saying you're gonna end up heartbroken and everything. I thought the conversations between them were really good. I definitely really enjoyed their conversations. I thought it was definitely very well done. Now, let me talk about the most surprising person in this movie. The thing that I didn't know about this movie that they did very well. Delaney Ray as older Jane. Madeline Arthur as Jane, her daughter. Stole the show. She was fantastic in this movie. And I did not know how good her character was actually going to be. I didn't know that her character was going to serve as much of a purpose in this movie as she ended up serving. And I love the central relationship between her and Margaret. Because, of course, Margaret lied to Jane. She lied to her. She didn't really, she did. She lied to her. She didn't tell the truth. She said that she was the one that was doing these paintings and everything. She did. She said that, and, Jane didn't really believe her. She could clearly tell that her mother was hiding something, and I really like the central relationship between them, especially when Margaret, I don't think this is a spoiler because I'm sure we all assume it, that she eventually ended up leaving Walter. I definitely thought that older Jane portrayed that very, very well. There's a great scene in this movie with Madeline Arthur, and I thought she handled a lot of drama very, very well. This movie does handle drama very, very well. Now, let's talk about probably the best thing about this movie is the directing by Tim Burton. I applaud Tim Burton for this movie because he completely changed his style here. This does not feel like a Tim Burton movie. It's not dark. It's not fantasy-like. It's not like that. It's not, there's no Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter in this movie. This is Amy Adams, Christoph Waltz. And when Tim Burton was asked, why'd you do this movie? He said, because I want, and I like his response. He said, I'm tired of casting the same people in my movies. I want to do something different. I want to cast new people. And I think it was a very daring approach that he did that. I definitely really enjoyed that. I really like that Tim Burton did that. That was a very good choice in my opinion because he directed this movie perfectly. You really felt like you were in the 1950s and it very much felt like just a straight up biographical drama. I was surprised about how good he did. Yes, there were some scenes that felt a little Tim Burton-ish, with the paints and everything, but it wasn't ever too much like a Tim Burton movie. It very much just felt like I was watching a regular drama, and if Tim Burton really wants to do this, then you're good. You're doing a great job, and I thought probably his directing was probably the best part of this movie. And honestly, it is Oscar-worthy. I really feel he should be nominated for an Oscar because it's very hard for a director to do multiple genres, and he portrayed it perfectly. He really did, and I think he did a great job with it. Definitely was a very daring approach, and he did a great job. Now, the writing in this movie, I thought was perfect. I love the writing. I thought it was very, very well done. My only complaint is, why was the courtroom scene so funny? Like, the movie was not that funny. Then we got to the courtroom scene, the movie got, really funny. I don't understand why. There was probably Christoph Waltz acting, but still, that was a little weird. The score by Danny Elfman, I thought was very, very good. I definitely really enjoyed that. My only complaint is that the score sometimes overpowered the scene, and I didn't feel as much emotion as I wanted to. Because, honestly, I feel that it's better when you don't have a score than when you do. If you want to make it more realistic, they shouldn't have had the score. But I still thought the score by Danny Elfman was very good. Cinematography in this movie was very good as well. The paintings look very, very realistic. I thought that was very well done. That's something you have to do with this movie. Is you have to have the paintings look real, and I think they did a very good job with doing that. Now, I do want to talk about a few things in this movie that were very good twists, in my opinion, that I did not see coming. And if you guys have not seen Big Eyes and you don't really know the story of Margaret Keane, if you do know the story, then you know what I'm about to talk about. You know the big things I'm about to talk about between Margaret Keane and Walter Keane. But if you don't know the central story between them, or if you want to see this movie, don't watch the rest of this review. I don't think a lot of people are going to see this movie, because there were only, 10 people in my theater. Okay, but whatever. I was still very happy I saw it, though. Now, Let me talk about some of the things that I really like. The twist that Walter has not painted a single painting and that even the street paintings were not his, I thought that was extremely well done because I didn't even think of that. I didn't think of that. I really didn't. And I don't know why, because that's kind of the point where we start to realize this guy's crazy. We start to realize this here. And I think that they handled that very, very well, you know, with revealing that in a very slow way. And I thought the way they revealed that was very well done. I definitely really enjoyed that. That was very, very good in my opinion. And Amy Adams' reaction to that was great. And then, of course, when Jane finds out that Margaret has been lying to her all these years, was very, very well done. I knew she was going to find out eventually, but when she found out, that's when the movie got amazing for me. And then when Walter tried to lock them into that closet, and he was like, I'm gonna burn you up, I was like, Christoph Waltz is it feels like Jack Nicholson right now. That scene felt like The Shining to me. I'm going to be completely honest. It felt like The Shining. It really did. And then the courtroom scene where he was like hamming it up and he was pretending to like talk to himself. I didn't really like that. I thought that was weird that it just suddenly got funny. I was laughing. I was having a good time with it. But I'm like, why am I having a good time with this? I don't want to have a good time. I want this to be a good, you know, dramatic, realistic courtroom scene. If that did really happen that way, though, that would be interesting. I do know that the drawing thing happened, but I don't know if the whole thing with Christoph Waltz, you know, with Walter Keane talking to himself, I don't know if that really happened. If it did, then fine, but still, it just seems kind of weird and kind of unrealistic. So, overall, that's really my review for Big Eyes. I really enjoyed this movie. It's not one of my favorite movies of the year, because, you know, there's problems with Christoph Waltz. I don't know if he was overdoing it. I don't know if it required him to. You know, I don't know if Walter Keane was actually like that in real life. I don't think any of us will ever know if we just talk to if we talk to Margaret Keane, then we know, but I'm not going to talk to, I don't plan on talking to Margaret Keane anytime soon. But I definitely really enjoyed this movie. Yes, I am happy I saw it. I would recommend seeing it. It's a very good movie. It's very dramatic. It does get very, very dark. It sometimes has some tonal problems, but I definitely really enjoyed it, and I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. I definitely really enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for the Doctor Who Christmas special, because I really want to review that, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.